Every now and then, Steam actually does its job, recommending a title that's worthy of checking out, and Metro Sim Hustle I think is really one of those games. Developed by Departure Interactive, responsible for the high quality free-to-play titles like Bartender Hustle and Flight Attendant Simulator. According to Steam, with their latest release, you'll take the reins of an underground commuter train as you hustle your way to the top in a city full of hot real estate, cheap entertainment, and a diverse set of residents. I don't really know how to best describe this thing, but if I had to sum it up, it's a game where you're playing as a guy or gal who drives trains. But the train job is just a fiscal necessity that comes in between all of the other weird and wacky stuff you can get up to. Located in the fictional Callahan City with a backdrop and a bunch of NPCs that really look like they should be out of a PlayStation 2 game. Now, I knew as soon as I loaded this one up that I was in for something special. So I made sure I had my microphone plugged in almost the entire time to get my reactions, but even then, it still managed to exceed my expectations. What do you call this dancing? Look at his face. You know, there's something about you in particular, two things that I like. I can't put my finger on it. What's this guy doing? He looks like he's having a seizure. What's this lady doing? Oh, it's a man, Jean-Claude Dalton. Sorry. Look, it's like someone's tipped him by giving him just like an empty, what is it, like a coffee lid or something? It's also something of a light survival game, and you might have noticed those little meters at the top of the screen. You've got energy, sanity, bladder, hygiene, nutrition, and hydration, all of which should be pretty obvious aside from maybe sanity. Sanity is a measure of your mental well-being and can be replenished through various methods. There you go, such as consuming narcotics. It's true. Other than that, you drink coffee or sleep to regain your energy, you use the toilet and the shower for your bladder and hygiene, and you obviously eat and drink for nutrition and hydration. E. coli infested water bubblers are scattered around the city for a never-ending top-up, and you can drink from these things like your Duke Nukem. And the general stores and the cafes sell all the trashy junk food you could ever possibly need, including these healthy meals like popcorn, protein bars, sushi, or beef cream. Yes, beef and cream, two words that you should never really put together. Callahan City is a world bustling with activity, with NPCs who look more like they belong in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and also named NPCs who you can talk to and even improve your standings if you get the right dialogue choices. Answer enough of these questions properly and they'll even give you a mission, which 9 times out of 10 just requires running around the city to find something and then bring it back to them. And to say the characters you interact with in this game are interesting is an understatement. You having a good time, man? Leon Dusk, oh come on now. Is this supposed to be a Deus Ex reference, JC? Jean-Claude Dalton? My clothing is nothing but a veil for my military grade. Yeah, this is clearly a Deus Ex reference.
Yeah? Who says?
But it's the Metro part of Metro Sim Hustle where all of the meat is. The actual train driving component to the game, and this is where most of the attention really seems to have gone in development. The story is that you're a disgraced train driver living in a derelict building, and at the beginning of the game you've had your license revoked. You've got to work your way back up to the big leagues. This is really the main way of making money in the game, and along with being the safest, it's also kind of the slowest. The train controls are simple enough though, so you start by pulling off the handbrake, then you bring the speed up and do your best to stop in the right spot at each station. Open the doors so the passengers can all get on, close the doors and then take off again. And then repeat this for the 5 or so stations until your shift ends. But even then, man, like there's just so much more to it than that. I mean, for starters, you've got to keep an eye on your speed. The speed limit's constantly changing, and if you end up going over it, you're gonna end up with a nasty fine. End that back in. Whoa, speeding fine! There's workers in the tunnels, and you've got to give these guys a friendly warning with your horn. At certain times, you might even get an electrical fire, and you'll have to put these out with an extinguisher. Oh, shit! And then apart from all that, the city seems to be one that's plagued by terrorist attacks. In this case, it's terrorists who like to hop on trains and then set bombs off. I mean, what a bunch of bastards. Whoa! Terrorist attack. What?
This is an emergency.
What does that mean? So as you roll into each station, you got to keep an eye out for security threats and then call them in. Yeah, mate, I got terrorist on the platform. Can you sort him out for me, champ? Yeah, roger. Thanks, mate. Awesome.
A few minutes later.
Another security threat? Jesus, man. What type of city is this?
12 seconds later.
Mate, you wouldn't believe it. We got another one of these terrorists. Can you, can you get this bloke off the platform? You get bonus cash for arriving at each station before the time runs out, which is actually kind of tricky, and pulling this off almost always comes down to the wire. The sound design during all of this I just thought was really impressive too, which is kind of bizarre for a game like this. The sounds of the screeching brakes and that echo of the train as it moves through the tunnel has just been captured really well. Along with that realistic voice on the train announcing what the next stop's going to be.
You are on the Metro line.
There's no music or anything during these moments, just you and that dimly lit tunnel ahead. Just the clickety-clack of the rail, the other trains passing like ships in the night, and you, alone with your thoughts and a bag of LSD. It's almost poignant. Just a really detailed little minigame, which honestly could have passed itself off as an entire game. You've even got to make sure you're letting people know what the next station's going to be on the route display as well. The most important thing though is getting paid, son, and each time you successfully complete a shift, you get a bit of cash and often a few food items as well, along with a bunch of experience points. Oh, look at that. Line completion bonus, $1. A hot dog, $4. So I drove a train all day, I got $5 and a hot dog. The goal being to work your way back up to the top line, which is where the big bucks start rolling in. With the first line, called the Metro line, you're limited to speeds of about 30 miles per hour, but by the time you get to the third and final Sprinter line, you're pushing this bad boy to around 80 miles per hour. Another 8 miles and you might accidentally travel back to 1985. Apparently too, only 2.5% of people who bought the game actually made it this far too, which is kind of piss poor. I mean, guys, come on. But you can't have Metro Sim hustle without the hustle, and that's where the game definitely starts to become interesting and at times just downright hilarious. Your base of operations is that derelict building where you can use the toilet, shower and sleep, which also saves your game. Later on you can also buy your very own apartment, which looks more like an Unreal 4 engine tech demo. Nearby to the derelict building you've got an underground fight club where you pick up some extra cash through cage matches, in theory at least. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa now! This dude's ready. And I say that because I was barely able to beat the first opponent. They said this guy's name was supposed to be Daniel, but this asshole ended up being fucking Tyler Durden or something, and he beat the shit out of me at first. I lost. I don't believe it. How embarrassing. Look, my boy's here. He saw the whole thing. He's like, man, I thought you were cool. I ended up getting past him eventually, but the next fight ain't much better, man, and you got to get through 10 of these all up. Delivering pizza is another money-making option if you don't want to cave people's faces in, and also like getting paid in pocket change. Received $1. Then you've got the strip club, a popular hangout for all men of culture, where among other things you can get a lap dance from a woman who kinda looks like she brushes her teeth with a crack pipe, or play blackjack in a room that looks like it belongs in Twin Peaks. There's a bathroom downstairs with one of the most offensive excuses for a working mirror I think I've ever seen in a video game, and even a jukebox where you can play your very own custom songs. You can also gamble at the casino, just in case the premise of losing your money in a small room wasn't enticing enough. Now you can lose your money in a much larger room. Or finally chill out and win some prizes at the video game arcade, though I do have to give this place a bit of a thumbs down for not having a working cabinet of Time Crisis 2 or even Dance Dance Revolution. I mean, what a shithole. You can even buy clothes and go to the doctor to get a sex change if that's your cup of tea. Another big part of the gameplay is also the drugs, well, 3 drugs in particular. Weed, MDMA, and cocaine, and almost every single vendor in the city seems to sell at least one of these for some reason. Like the convenience store for instance, $13 for a bag of coke. I mean, damn, that's cheap. This convenience store is actually kind of impressive too. You can heat up food in the microwave and even brew a cup of coffee, and the coffee cup even fills up in real time and everything. But anyway, the real money maker here is making your own drugs. I think it's time we made some drugs, to be honest. It seems at random people are going to text you to get a hookup, so you go to the conveniently named narcotic production building and get to cooking. Buy your ingredients off the black market app, which get delivered instantly, and then come back 24 hours later or so to cash in. I need a medium batch of cocaine, don't we all, bro? Can you get it for me soon? I got $300 waiting for you. Thank you, brother. I mean, I have to now. He called me his brother. Just make sure you don't walk past the cops when you're carrying this stuff, because the police force in the city are so goddamn efficient that they can confiscate and fine you for carrying this stuff without even having to get out of their cars. Throughout the city, there's a bunch of locked buildings you can break into, providing you've got a lockpick, of course, all for the grand score of finding cupboards filled with things like donuts and protein bars. Yay. In one of them, for instance, I found a goddamn lockpick. Bruh. Sneaking into an office building at nighttime, I could also hack into people's computers, performing some good old-fashioned corporate espionage. You can play slot machines on your mobile phone and even buy lottery tickets and try your luck that way. But I think you might actually have a better chance of winning a lottery ticket in real life, because I spent a whole bunch of money on these goddamn things in the game and I still ain't won shit. Holy shit! And as long as you keep your eye on those survival meters, you can do this for as long as you want to. In a world where bags of coke can be bought at every corner store, that is entirely possible and realistic. Another really important app on your phone here is the dating app. You see, Callahan City is also teeming with virile sexual partners. That's right, women looking for sex in your area. Well, 3 of them anyway. This is like chatting to the normal NPCs, and again, you have to answer a series of questions. And then once you get all of these correct, you've got to buy that girl a gift. I mean, this one, for instance, wants a pink glow stick. Yeah, bet she does. Then after that, it's as simple as picking up a prophylactic device, then renting a hotel room where you can engage in the dirty deed. At which point though, regardless of the woman you're sleeping with, you just get the same 3 poses, which just loop over and over like an animated slideshow while your character lies there lifelessly looking like a goddamn T-800. And just like the jukebox in the strip club, you can load in your own custom movies to really help set the mood during those intimate encounters.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Leatherhead.
By the end of my time with this game, I'd really started to get into a bit of a role-playing groove here. I'd buy a bag of coke and some coffee, knock them both off, then head to the train station and do 2 or 3 shifts back to back. The fate of all of these innocent civilians now in the hands of this nothing-to-lose renegade, doped up on coke and caffeine. At one point, I even dropped some LSD and then drove the train, and I did a damn good job of it. Holy shit! I paid for a sleazy one-night stand at the hotel by selling off a box of MDMA. Then I took a piss in a sushi restaurant bathroom before heading over to the hotel and banging this broad's brains out. And then to top the whole thing off, I ended up getting a sex change and did the whole thing all over again. And that right there is the Metro Sim hustle experience.
Fuck you, Leatherhead.
You're really going to be getting maybe 4 or 5 hours entertainment out of this thing if it ends up grabbing your attention. Once I maxed out my train license and bought the apartment, I can tell you that the interest was definitely starting to wane. But those first few hours, man, they were just absolutely magical. It's not a masterpiece by any stretch, the price is probably a bit too high, and I think most people will probably forget this game exists by this time next week. But there's just something so fun about a game that lets you control heavy machinery whilst under the influence of recreational drugs. And in a sea of horrible indie games on Steam, it's kinda worth checking out just for that alone.